What's up, Marvelites, and welcome to an all-new episode of the MCU Exchange podcast. This is episode 19. Woo! One more till the big 2-0. Yeah. I'm your host for this episode. My name is Aaron. Alongside me is Charles.
What's up?
And Joe.
Hello.
And just want to give a shout out to our listeners over at Spotify, YouTube, Anchor, Google Podcasts, and Breaker. And if you want more episodes, if you want more content from the MCU Exchange, you can like us on Facebook. That's facebook.com/the MCU Exchange. Join the discussion over at our Twitter. That's twitter.com/MCU Exchange. And you can also watch a sense of MCU nostalgia at our YouTube account. That's youtube.com/MCU Exchange. So let's get right on it. Last week, we had a lot of news, a lot of rumors, a lot of speculations. Surprise, surprise, this week, we don't have any, just one. And now, this is not going... It's awkward to call this the rundown because there's only one news. So I'm not going to call it the rundown, guys. We only have one news, and it's an Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. centric news. It's been revealed this week that Patton Oswalt is returning as Agent Koenig in the final season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Joe, with you being a big fan of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., what do you think is the role of Patton Oswalt in the upcoming season?
So my big hope is that considering him playing every potential version of Koenig that was around, it makes sense for him to be an ancestor. So it kind of be a nice way to tie their family line into the founding of S.H.I.E.L.D. I'm really interested if, there were some fun theories to say, oh, what if he's an LMD? And I mean, on one side, yes, the Koenigs were involved with that project, but on the other side, it makes no sense given that we're in the 1930s. But I started to realize what would be, and this is just a theory, we are introduced to Agent Coulson as an LMD at the end of last season. Yeah. And what if this version of Koenig finds out and dedicates his life to finding out how to create that technology? And so the Coulson going back in time is also the escalation of why the Koenigs are such big researchers on LMDs.
Yeah, and that's very interesting. This would mean that the episode that Patton Oswalt will be on serves as the birth of the LMDs, or the idea of the LMDs.
Yeah.
Right? Charles, what do you think? With the concept of LMDs, do you think that this will carry over to the film side of the MCU moving forward in Phase 4 or maybe Phase 5?
LMDs. Well, LMD is a very, very S.H.I.E.L.D. thing. Even in the comics, the whole notion of introducing LMDs was a very spy 60s thing from Jim Steranko. So, because it's such a S.H.I.E.L.D. thing, like I don't even know if it should exist in something like the movies where it could undermine a lot of character stuff. Like, imagine how annoying it would be if you get a cool sort of character moment and then surprise, surprise, he's a robot. It's kind of like, then why should I even give a fuck about something like character development if you can easily hand wave it off with L&D. So I hope it doesn't become a regular staple. I hope as a fan, I kind of want to see it get addressed like an Easter egg or something, like Tony's Easter egg in
Avengers.
In Avengers, yeah. Those kinds of references are fine, but I'm sort of apprehensive in having LMDs as a major part of the story. So I hope it just ends with maybe the Koenigs in Patton Oswalt.
They're just served as the TV version. They're just they're just there in the TV version of the MCU. But I don't know if it's really connected to the MCU. So yeah,
who knows?
Who knows? Maybe this might be the season that it will finally connect to the MCU. We don't know, but there are potential theories and speculations going around in social media about that, and we're about to find out because Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is set to premiere on May 27th, 2 weeks from now, and it will be exciting. It will be an exciting time travel feel kind of season there. And now, since that's the only news that we have for the rundown, it's really awkward to call it the rundown. We're now moving over to the main part of the segment. It's called The Exchange. We're going to talk about all the latest speculations, rumors, and the best and the worst of the MCU. And now, our topic for The Exchange is the best and worst episodes of Marvel TV. And when we say Marvel TV, it encompasses everything, like Netflix shows, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Um, Agent Carter. Yeah, we can include that. So who wants to go first? Charles, what is your best? Let's start with best. What's your best episode? No, let's start with
Mm,
worst. Sorry, worst
oh,
first, and
worst.
then go to the best after.
Yeah.
The worst
So
episode. You can give one or two. Just go.
so for my worst, like I can't even remember what season it is or what episode count it is or even the tiny specifics of the episode. But I do remember hating an Agents of Shield episode when what's his name Daisy's dad when Daisy's dad tries to recruit a team of supervillains and
Yeah.
Oh
they're,
God.
they're like the worst thing ever, and they like fight on a football field, and it's just like one of the worst. It's just one of the most embarrassing things I've seen in the MCU. I think the name was like Cal's like Sharp Talons or something like that. I forgot what the fuck their name was, but it was so bad. The supervillains were bad. The powers were pretty bad. The
Is
lady
the
had like
CGI bad?
The lady with the
uh,
nails.
oh yeah, the lady with the I think they were like scissor hands or something. It was
Yeah.
like, God damn, what kind of fucking show is this? And yeah, so I think so far that's the only terrible episode I have in my head. But I mean, who can forget the final episode of Iron Fist when they unveiled the dragon,
Oh
only
my
for it
God.
to be
Oh
literally
yeah.
emergency land. That was pretty bad. I mean, Iron Fist has a lot of bad episodes, and I'm sure Inhumans because it's from Scott Buck. But for me, that episode of Agents of Shield sort of takes the cake and sort of like the cringiest moments in the MCU for me.
These shows produce a lot of cringy moments. I'm gonna delve onto that later. That's it, Charles.
Yeah, that's far as I can remember. That's the worst for me.
Okay. Joe, how about you? What's the worst episode for you? Knowing that you're a full fan of the show, Agents of Shield.
So, ironically, it's for Agents of Shield. It's the same episode for me. It
Oh,
was
really?
Really?
the well, it was that it was the tie between that or the lackluster, super advertised Secret Warriors episode. Because the thing is, as much as I love Agents of Shield, because they do a lot right, they have those moments where you see that they can't really do more, and they try to work within the budget they have, and they just miss the mark completely. And because it was just the the episode with the lady, like she literally just her superpower is she has nails drilled into her fingernails. It's just a blade which you can easily remove. Like she's under some kind of watch and no one just screws that out. And the other episode with the Secret Warriors, it was more of a disappointment because I'm a huge fan of the Secret Warriors storyline.
Mm-hmm.
When they introduced Chloe Bennett's character becoming Quake, I was like, that's a really cool concept. That would have been a good way to give S.H.I.E.L.D. their superhero team, pretty much. That kind of, because everyone complained in season one, there's no superpowered characters. Where are they? And they were slowly building up. And then we had Yo-Yo. And then we had a random character with Lincoln. And then they're like, oh, the Secret Warriors. But instead of, using Absorbing Man, who was in the season, or any other characters, they just kind of went, oh, we have three characters and this is our Secret Warriors. But there was no reason why they had the name. There was no secret operation. It was just randomly advertised as Secret Warriors, and that was the only connection it had to the comics because two of the characters were from that comic. But I have to say, I had the exact same feeling with the Iron Fist episode. I don't remember, something about Immortal Emerges or something in the first season, where
Mm-hmm.
they introduce the Bride of Nine Spiders in like the worst way
Yeah.
possible. That
Yeah.
because that was exactly the same thing. It's a cool concept of a character, and you see that they didn't have the budget to do it, but instead of making the good decision of saying let's not do it, they screwed over the character and the potential. They've tried to bring in one of the most iconic runs of the Immortal Iron Fist, the tournament aspect, and had him fight in a dingy warehouse. It was the weirdest decision I've seen.
That's your worst episode.
I think that they're both pretty much on par for me. The episode that Charles already mentioned in the Iron Fist episode.
Well, for me, to be honest, I haven't watched the Iron Fist show yet. In, in season
Lucky
one,
you.
yeah. So I saved
Lucky
myself.
you.
I saved myself. Right? I saved myself from
Yeah.
that. Yeah, from that torture, right? Yeah. So I'm just going to pick my worst episodes. of Agents of Shield, and I say episode because probably for me the worst stretch for Agents of Shield. I don't know if Joe will agree with me. Is the first half of season one when they're trying to find the footing,
Oh
trying to find their
yeah.
footing. Yeah, they're trying to establish
Yeah.
themselves as how can we separate ourselves to the MCU? We're just a show about a bunch of Shield agents. Well, for me, the worst episode is probably episode 2, 084, the second episode of season one. It's a given that they're trying to find their footing, but during that episode, I just witnessed how they're struggling to establish themselves as what kind of
Mm.
show are we? Are we going to deal with alien tech, or going to deal with the espionage aspect of the Shield agency? They're trying to they're trying hard during that episode, and
Yeah.
it's hard for me to watch. And but on the flip side, we've they've given a new term for us to think about, the 084, the object of unknown origin. But that's only the plus side of the episode. The rest of
Yeah.
the episode was really a struggle for me to watch. That's for me. That's for my own opinion.
Yeah, the first season was tough to get through at some points.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was reminding myself that this is connected to the MCU. Nick Fury showed up in the first half. Okay, this is connected to the MCU. I'll try to finish it. I'll try to watch it. I'll try to get a sense of where are they going. Where will this direction go? And yeah, it's really hard for me to watch in the first half of the
But
season.
I think what was also really not in Agents of Shield's favor is that they couldn't really communicate a lot what they were doing. And then everyone like up to the premiere was like, "Oh, the character introduced in the first episode is going to be Luke Cage, because he had the superpowers." But then it was
Yeah,
just
yeah,
kind of no one until much later. It was like, "Oh, we're doing Deathlock now," which came out of nowhere. And then you had the Society of Red Masks that everyone's like, "Oh, is this like a cool concept with Red Skull and his following?" But then it was just some random rich dude using a military force to get a package away. It's like, okay,
yeah.
they
And also that
really did not know where they were heading.
Yeah, and also that Graviton reveal at the first season, which paid off at season 5. Oh, season 5 or 6. That was a long
Yeah.
payoff, Joe.
And they didn't even get the actor back. I mean, I have to say one thing. I was always that was like the episode that shifted for me, Agents of Shield, the one where they reveal Graviton being a potential, and
Yeah.
it did annoy me that they did nothing with it until the last season, and even then it was kind of they slowly introduced it, and I liked the turn they did, but I feel bad for the actor they got to play the original character, who just got completely shafted, and it just became someone else got his powers because he just absorbed in it.
Yeah. There's no real payoff during that, and it's really sad.
Yeah.
But we're now shifting from sad. We're now shifting to happy. We're now shifting to the best episodes of Marvel TV. Charles, have at it. What's your best episode?
Ooh, well, it's a no. It's it comes to as a non-surprise to anyone that it's from Daredevil. But now that I'm
Yeah,
thinking about it, it's kind of hard for me to pick. But here are my top three favorite episodes of
yeah,
Daredevil.
sure.
The pilot episode, Into the Ring, is one of the best pilots out
Mm.
there of any show in general. It gets the tone right. It gets the introduction perfect. The action is great. The intrigue of the plot is great and whatnot. And even the way the episode ends is pretty fantastic. And also how it sets up the rest of the season is pretty amazing. And another episode that I really like is the episode where they introduce Stick, because
Yeah,
I'm such a huge fan of that aspect of Daredevil, all the mystical stuff. In many ways, I sort of like the mystical aspect of Daredevil more than the crime stuff, even though the crime stuff is pretty untouchable. But once you get into like occult, esoteric ninja shit, I'm fucking in. And the way they sort of teased Black Sky and whatnot was pretty amazing. The way how Stick, interacts with Matt Murdock, their dynamic, their relationship is pretty amazing. It's unfortunate that all the good stuff that I really love didn't pay off in any satisfying way with season 2 and and Defenders. But when I look back at watching that episode for the first time, Stick is talking about the hand. It's fucking it absolutely blew my mind. Um, and also the third favorite episode I like is from season 3, episode 6, where we see Bullseye destroy the what newspaper publication is this? Daily Bulletin.
Yeah. Wait.
Basically, when Bullseye massacres that entire office, that was fucking amazing. I
Mm,
got to watch
Oh
that
yeah.
in
that was
advance. I
amazing.
had
Yeah.
like a bunch of friends sort of lent me their screeners. So I got
Like,
to watch it like like 3 months ahead, and watching that for the very first time absolutely made me stand up from my seat and just shout at what was fucking happening. I thought when Bullseye hurls that Billy Club towards Foggy, I legit thought he was gonna die. And then Matt steps in, and they have like a pretty kick-ass fight, and it's fucking amazing. So I mean, it's a bunch of Daredevil episodes, but when I look back and think about them, it kind of makes me want to revisit the show, even though I really hate the episode count. I really hate the 13 episodes. You can cut like 2 3 episodes from the season, it would be perfect. But overall, er, Daredevil did a lot of fucking amazing episodes rather that
mm.
that merit for me the best episodes of Marvel TV.
Yeah. Daredevil has a lot of cool moments and cool episodes.
Yeah.
It's just sad that
It's
they
true.
canceled it. You have to wait for it to show up in the MCU. I hope it shows up in the MCU soon. Before we go to Joe, Charles, I have a question. Where do you want to see Daredevil in MCU? Do you want him to be featured in his own film, or do you want him to show up first in a major film?
Oh, I want him to be in his own film
Yeah,
because
just like Blade.
just like Blade, and it's there- films have a different prestige than TV, let alone a fucking solo film. It's different than like you can say, oh, Daredevil has his own show. It's different when you say Daredevil has his own movie.
Yeah.
Even though the Ben Affleck movie wasn't all that amazing, it had a lot of good stuff going on for it.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, I kind of wish he gets his own movie rather than like I'd rather see him debut in a solo movie than him showing up in say Spider Man.
I mean, I would
Makes
love to
sense.
see Marvel Studios try smaller budget films with characters that are more on Earth to give them more time to shine as well. Because we've
Yeah.
gotten so big that it's a good balance to bring that in.
Like when they're showing the slate, they will like to separate it from the Earth-based heroes, Earth-based adventures to the cosmic-based adventures in
Yeah.
the future. Joe, you're up. What's your best episode or episodes in Marvel TV?
So I hope I'm not combining episodes, but it would be for me. It's also what it's two different shows with 2 episodes. One is also Daredevil Cutman, I think was an episode name.
Mm-hmm.
I
That's
have
it.
an extreme soft I have an extreme soft spot for like father son stories. So just seeing like how his father defined him, and then that building up to that final incredibly one shot action sequence was just also the like the best way they could have done this show. Like after the first one, which was already such a great pilot, to lead into that was like, okay, this show is going somewhere.
Yeah.
And it's really like the thing is I just find the story, because the thing is that where I think Daredevil does get a little, it tries to focus on Foggy and Karen a lot, which you can only really do with a show rather than a film because you don't have the time. And it's great, but when they focus on Matt Murdock, it's just such an incredibly done story, and they try to go into his psyche, and they utilize, I think, some of the best shots I've seen in some TV shows in a while. And I just love how they utilize his costume with everything. That shot, just that last action sequence, is so iconic that I love that it became a staple for the entire franchise. That every season had that one shot, and then they upped it every single time. And I almost felt like if it weren't for the father elements and just the story elements, my favorite fight sequence is the one from season 2 where he has the gun taped to his hand.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
that's like
yeah.
that's absolutely that's like for me that surpasses. I think most fight scenes. I think it's better even than the bullseye fight in the Daily Bulletin
Mm-hmm.
because even just like thematically and symbolically, it's him descending into hell. That's
Yeah.
basically it's him going down, and you know it's just so fucking amazing how he uses the chain, how he pretend he even tries to shoot the gun just to mess with the mess with the goons, and it's just so amazing.
It was just such a great sequence, and it's that's the thing. Like Daredevil has so many iconic. Like let's be honest, Daredevil kind of carried the entire Netflix concept,
I agree.
and
Yeah.
it was sad to kind of see that it got muddled over time, especially how Iron Fist ended up being. Like I still think Iron Fist season 1 wasn't bad per se, but it wasn't great or good either. And it's just sad to see that the rest of the shows couldn't really hold up, because I think Jessica Jones and Daredevil season 1 were really pushing down on how great these stories can be. I think even Luke Cage season 1 had some great moments until last half kind of devolved into something else. But I did say I had a second episode, and I have to say that I have to add an honorary mention from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is I love the episode What They Become. The one where Daisy, who we all were wondering who the hell she is,
Sky.
becomes an Inhuman.
Yeah.
Sky. I always get mixed up with Sky before she became Daisy, and I think that was a great episode because it,
Yeah.
first of all, it finally paid off whatever mystery her name was supposed to be, because at the beginning it was like, is this really a mystery? Oh, okay, I just thought her name was Sky and just ran with it.
Yeah.
But it was a great, and it just, one of my favorite characters does the ultimate sacrifice, and it was a very well done show. It actually gave us, as a mid season point, it also gave us one of my favorite TV teaser ever, where she's like locked up and you see everything vibrating around her.
On that same episode, I mean, I don't know if it's in the same episode. That's also where the agent, another agent died, right?
Yeah.
Agent
Yo,
Triplet.
Trip,
Yeah,
Trip, yeah,
yeah,
Trip
Trip
died.
died, who was a huge fan favorite.
yeah, huge fan favorite. Miss that guy. I hope he, I hope he shows up in the final season. Time travel is present, so responsibility. But who
Sure.
knows?
I kind of hope he gets a bigger role in some show, because that guy had charisma. He was really
Yeah,
good.
I think we can do an episode where we theorize who might show up in
Ooh,
season 7. We can do that. Yeah, maybe in the next few
sure,
weeks.
yeah.
Okay, my turn. Yeah, my turn. I'll be honest. I have not chosen any episodes from Netflix shows because my memory is blurry. Because I only watched it like one time, like one sweep. Okay, so I'm gonna. I have two actually. I have two favorite episodes from Agents of Shield that up to this day I remember all the details. It's ironic because it came from season 1, the same season that I destroyed earlier. So but the thing is, on one of my top two, second one before we go to top one, my top two is tracks. Remember that episode, Joe? Season 1, episode 13, where they're all in the train, the
Oh
Stanley
yeah,
cameo. I love
that was
as a
a great one.
as a
Yeah.
graduate of Bachelor of Arts in Communication, I love their way of storytelling,
Mhm.
showing it from different perspectives. Yeah, and showing it from
It was
different
the
perspectives.
first one that broke the mold. Huh?
Yeah, yeah,
Sorry.
it's the first one. It was the first one, and then it was the first time seeing their characters more fleshed out. You know,
Mm.
by having to improvise, having to disguise themselves, having to go undercover in a train, and then the storytelling is great. You know, the storytelling is great. It's shifted in character's perspective, and the emotion at the end of the episode where Sky was shot by Ian Quinn, and then you see them panicking. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? And then you see them at the end of the episode. You see them as a family for the first time, actually,
Yeah.
in that episode.
Way too
Moving,
late.
yeah, way too late. 13 episodes in, you see that chemistry. Imagine that. But I love that episode. That I up to this day I still watch it, some clips of it, you know, just to remind me how great that episode is. But moving on to my top one, my best episode in Age of Shield was season 1, episode 17. It's entitled
Uh,
Turn, 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 which is
Oh,
has a direct tie-in to Captain America: The Winter Soldier. That episode shifted the show's ratings, shifted the show's interest among fans. It shifted everything. That show gave a lot. Like, imagine when you're watching Captain America: The Winter Soldier, and then that Hydra reveal, And then for a fan of Agents of Shield like me, at the top of
Mhm.
my mind, my first thought was, "Oh shit! So what's the show of what will the Agents of Shield be named now? Because they're not Shield anymore." So, and that Hydra
True.
reveal is it's a literal turning point. It's a turning point of the show. Many fans would agree that that is the turning point of the show. Um, it has it is the first connection of really the not the first. I mean, it has the heaviest connection of the show to the film series of the MCU.
Yeah.
And you start to question yourself: who else is Hydra? Like, who else is? Uh, when you rewatch past episodes, you just have a thought of yourself. Oh, that's why he did that. Okay, that's why it happened, right? When you rewatch for past episodes, like it finally makes sense because of turn. I remember during that time back in
Mhm.
2014, I remember some fans are like literally saying that Natasha will show up because, as you can recall, the line turn is what Natasha said during Avengers, right? During the
True. Yeah.
battle in New York, and there's those fan theories that Natasha will show up, and also there's this running theory that when May called the direct line of Nick Fury, that Steve Rogers was at the other end of the line, like he was the one telling May. But those are just fan theories, but there's no confirmation in that. But yeah, and I think that's also the same episode. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's correct. The same episode that occurred at the same time as Captain America: The Winter Soldier.
Yeah. So
Same
so
time
they
as yeah,
that was the biggest problem I think the show faced is that they had to waste times until their 17th episode
yeah,
for the big twist. And that kind of, in a way, I think that also screwed the show in the beginning because they couldn't really focus on anything.
yeah.
But yeah, they timed it, and I have to respect that though. They had to go out of their way to get the episode listing when the movie aired that it's exactly the same week.
All right, yeah. And nobody saw it coming. Nobody saw it coming.
No.
That twist to Captain America: and The Winter Soldier, because nobody saw that coming. And also here in Age of Shield, they knew that the Hydra reveal was coming, but they don't know which agent is Hydra. That's a twist.
True.
Were you heartbroken, Joe, when Agent Ward was revealed to be an Hydra agent?
Uh, I actually kind of loved it because I thought at first it's like the most of the episode you go, oh, so it's just okay, everyone else is bad and they have to survive, and then it's like, oh, it's one among them. Now
Yeah,
that's interesting. And let's be honest, like Grant Ward was the best candidate, so on one side I was like, this really makes sense. But I also liked how he has a connection to the main villain of the season, which gave it a little bit more nuance. So I think it was a great choice, even though I just think it's ironic how much of a villain Ward became because he just would not go away.
yeah. But before we end, I have a question for you guys. I just thought of this just now, literally. Charles, and Joe. Charles first. What do you
Mhm.
think? Given that I've pointed out earlier that that me and Joe pointed out earlier that Agents of Shield is a show like burdened by MCU movies because it's hard timeline wise, it's hard storyline wise. Do you think that the Disney Plus shows will experience that, or it will be more of a symbiotic relationship now because Kevin Feige is the head of both? What do you
Oh,
think?
it's gonna be way easier. First off, the
Mm.
Disney Plus shows don't have 22 episodes. They don't have to wait 17 episodes to tie in.
Yeah,
They only have six. Some of them have eight. I'm sure I wouldn't be surprised if some of them even have like 5 episodes to the season. So it's obviously more connected and more cohesive. It's tighter, and it's not gonna be as loose as Agents of Shield for sure.
Same on my side. I think the best thing is that they have someone because we know that there was more to this Marvel TV problem than just communicating. They did get a lot of assets. They did communicate with Marvel Studios, but it was quite obvious that the Marvel TV shows, even on Netflix, weren't in any way important to Feige. And he kind of avoid, which makes it ironic that the only show that I think he was the executive producer on, which was Agent Carter, is the only one that actually has an official connection in somewhat. So, I think it's going to be much smoother. And I think to some degree that Kevin Feige he's very good at making long-term plans, that he's going to have a way to balance out this TV show, a movie thing, where the TV shows lead more into the films and vice versa. Because, I mean, Disney Plus can literally get actors that normally would be way too expensive for TV. Plus, you know, they can determine what weeks will it release and in what grow. This isn't primetime television where you have September until May or summer release. This is, we're going to release this when we want to, when it fits, you know, depending on what happens right now in this scenario, but still they have way more freedom than before. Plus, the episodes can be as long as they want to. I mean, Mandalorian, his episodes are like 30 minutes long and others that are almost an hour. So they're way more flexible as well with how they handle that.
And they had the freedom to do so. And so it's more of like a symbiotic relationship that's entirely different from the Netflix shows, from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So it will be a win-win for the fans moving forward. Yeah. So there you have it. Those are the exchange. How about you guys? What are your best and worst episodes of a Marvel TV show? Please do tweet to us at twitter.com/MCUExchange. You can also comment that when we post the podcast link on Facebook at facebook.com/TheMCUExchange. Or you can just, you know, head over to our channels, at YouTube channel, comment there. That's MCU Exchange. And also, just one last shout out to our listeners over at Spotify, at Anchor, Google Podcast Breakers. We appreciate you listening to our ramblings about the Marvel Cinematic Universe. You can also follow me on Twitter. That's twitter.com/AaronChino. That's AeronChino. You can also follow Charles on Twitter.
Could follow me at CFS Villanueva.
You can also follow Joe.
At Thatabel, ThatAberl.
Awesome. And now, on that note, we've come to an end of episode 19. But there's another episode coming up next week. Thank you for listening to the MCU Exchange podcast. Bye, guys. Always keep safe. Bye.
Bye.